What's up everyone, Nick Mo here, and this is SEUM, Speedrunners from Hell. More specifically, this is the 30th level of SEUM, and what you're watching is my 40-second attempt at a halfway decent time on this level. Now that might sound frustrating, but the truth is I'm having a blast. SEUM calls itself a speedrunner, but I believe it falls into a category of games I refer to as trial games. And in this category of games are titles like Track Mania Turbo, Super Meat Boy, the actual Trials games, and even old school favorites like Super Monkey Ball. And like the rest of these titles, SEUM is all about precise control and learning to make the physics and unique elements bend to your will. Like all great trial games, SEUM is a game in which you'll be losing at almost constantly, and yet that's exactly what makes games like this so much fun. And so, today I've decided to break down what it is about these painfully difficult experiences that keeps gamers like myself coming back for more. And I've narrowed it down to 3 key gameplay fundamentals. Number 1, simple control. I know what you're thinking. Having an easy to understand control scheme is important across a lot of genres, but I believe it's especially important for trial games. Take a look at Super Monkey Ball, for example. The entire game is controlled using only the analog stick. The first level of the game is as simple as press forward to move towards the goal. It doesn't get much simpler than this, yet by the end of the game, reaching the goal becomes an incredibly difficult task. And when you begin to lose over and over again, at no point will you blame the controls because the controls have become second nature to you. Instead, it is the level design that will have you cursing up a storm. This pick up and play model applies to SEUM as well. The game controls like classic PC shooters like Quake. If you've played any first-person shooter on the PC, the controls will instantly make sense to you. And when you reach later portions of the game and you begin to crumble to the insanity, you will take comfort in knowing that you were in control of your death the entire time. Number 2, the difficulty curve. Managing how difficult the game is over time is one of the most difficult aspects of game design. Start a game off too difficult and you'll lose players instantly. Make things too easy and players will quickly lose interest. A well-designed difficulty curve is the core of the trial game experience. Seriously, let's just define the word. Trial, the act of trying, testing, or putting to the proof. What good is a test if anyone could pass it? It wouldn't be much of a test now, would it? In that regard, you can think of every level inside games like SEUM as a test, and learning to ace these tests is key to improving your skills. SEUM does a good job of introducing its various gameplay mechanics at a rate that keeps players challenged while also keeping them from being crushed and hopeless early on. Eventually, you'll learn from your many mistakes and overcome obstacles that you once thought were impossible, and when that happens, it is immensely satisfying. Number 3, the endgame. A good trial game will challenge the player all the way to its completion, but a great trial game will keep the player interested long after the main game is over because the player will desire to push the game to its absolute limits. In classic trial games like Monkey Ball, the desire to push the game forward has led to some truly incredible speedrunning, and in more modern games such as Track Mania and Trials, we have built-in leaderboards to compete against, and these serve as a motivator to improve our best times. Part of the reason why I'm enjoying SEUM so much is because it does both of these things. The game features individual leaderboards for every level in the game, as well as a hardcore speedrunning mode designed to run the game from beginning to end with a single timer. Now I am nowhere near good enough to compete on any of these endgame contests of skill, but I want to be. I want to reach the end of the game so I can begin working on my best times, and that is a sign of a very good trial game. Okay, so we have our basic formula. We begin with simple to understand controls, which leads to a solid difficulty curve, which rewards us with an exciting endgame. In my book, these are the 3 reasons why these hardcore trial games keep us coming back, but there's one last thing missing. It's something I call the hook. The hook is usually the very first thing you notice about a game, and it's the reason why you get started with a trial game in the first place. For a game like Track Mania Turbo, the first thing you'll notice is, this car is going incredibly fast and the laws of physics don't seem to apply here. This is the gameplay hook that brings you in, and once you're there, you're going to stay because you want to get better at the game. As for SEUM, the hook lies in the game's perspective and controls. First off, there aren't many first-person trial games out there. There are some, but not a lot. And this is the only one I know of that feels like a classic PC shooter, only I don't have to worry about being fragged by another player. I only have to worry about surviving the map. If you've ever played an old Counter-Strike surf map, or even an achievement horse map in Halo, you'll know what I mean when I say sometimes it's fun to compete in an FPS without having to worry about actually being shot. And that's exactly what drew me into SEUM, the appeal of navigating these devilishly designed courses, and my only enemy is the clock ticking away. Now we have a complete picture. Top to bottom, we have an understanding of why we are willing to spend hours of our time losing over and over again on a single level of a brutally difficult game. We have the hook that brought us here and got us interested in playing. We have a simple to understand control scheme that got us off and running from the get-go. We have a well-designed difficulty curve that keeps us on our toes but doesn't crush us too quickly. And finally, we have a physics system that can be broken and pushed for the sake of speed, which leads to an exciting endgame where players are constantly competing and pushing the game further. And when you combine all of these elements, you create an addictive formula. And this formula is the reason why I believe games like SEUM hurt so good. Man, this game came out of nowhere for me. I am completely hooked on SEUM. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the video as much as I did making it. That said, if you are completely stressed out from all of this death and fire, might I recommend a calming dip in the peaceful blue oceans of Abzu, where I break down the game's hidden message to its players. Once again, this is Nick Mo. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, as I am now putting up new videos every Thursday. Alright, I'm out. See you guys in the next one.